The United Methodist Women shall be a community of women whose purpose is to know God and to experience freedom as whole persons through Jesus Christ, to develop a creative, supportive fellowship, and to expand concepts of mission through participation in the global ministries of the church. The women have always been part of the church. As children, then young ladies, they often became wives and mothers, participating alongside the men, faithfully worshiping and giving back in service as they were able. Their roles in earlier times may have appeared to be subservient, but they persisted in doing what they could to keep the church growing and further God's kingdom. The Women's Home Missionary Society was first organized in 1923 in what was then called Drummond's '(S) Chapel, Methodist Episcopal Church. It functioned for 2 years, ceased for a year, and then was reorganized in May 1926. By 1928, the membership was 28, and they paid a pledge of $75 towards the Scots Run Settlement House and also gave a generous donation to a needy family. They had monthly meetings to study different topics, such as missions, spiritual growth, and social action, and raised money for missions through food sales, Christmas card sales, venison or turkey dinners, and others. The merger of 3 Methodist church organizations in 1940 led to their becoming the Women's Society of Christian Service, WSCS. They had 2 circles named Circle Number 1 and Circle Number 2. The WSCS collected and compiled the first cookbook in 1955. Included in the red-covered Let's Cook book was a recipe for chicken a la Drummond, submitted by Mildred Horde. Betty Vorbaugh has helped make this dish on many occasions and said the recipe has been modified but is still being used for dinners today.
Dolly Hire was in charge of that, Mildred Horde, and Frances Berry. And it was a process. You started on Monday with the bread, cutting the bread in cubes and drying it out. And then Tuesday, you had the chicken come in. Wednesday, you cooked the chicken and picked it off the bones, and people came in then, other women, and they mixed it all together and had it ready for Thursday, because that's when we had the bazaar, and we served chicken a la Drummond for a fundraiser on Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday we had our bazaars. But we served chicken a la Drummond other times for fundraisers.
6 cookbooks have been compiled by the women over many decades. The last cookbook, produced in 2014, raised $2,000, and the money was used to assist the Clarksburg Cooperative Parish Ministries. The minutes of the December 1955 meeting read, Mrs. Sam Brand, Wilma, introduced Mrs. H.V. King, Mildred, who had several pieces of pottery on display which were for sale. These pieces were made by Mrs. King from clay taken from the foundation when the new basement of the church was built, 1952. In the mid-1950s, as the women worked to pay off their pledge to the building fund, they requested to stop paying on the interest but apply money to the principal. They bought a stove and a refrigerator. In 1957, they had chicken barbecues, turkey dinners, and sold Christmas cards to help pay a $1,000 pledge to the church. Mrs. A.B. Cowan donated 400 plates with a picture of the church. Some were for couples getting married and others to be sold. In 1958, they gave life membership pins to honor the members of the Women's Society of Christian Service and the Wesleyan Service Guild with the longest service records. These were Mrs. J. Louise Jacobs, Mrs. Charles Hartley, Ruth, Mrs. Susan Summers, Miss Laura Jacobs, Mrs. T.W. Canaan, Minnie. They suggested renaming the circles after these women. The Wesleyan Service Guild, primarily for working women, remained until 1974, when members joined other circles. The WSCS became the United Methodist Women, UMW. The first president of WSCS was Ethel Hunter, and the women celebrated Ethel Hunter Day in January 1984. Reverend Joe DeBarty, pastor of Drummond Chapel for 15 years, was reassigned as district superintendent in another area. Wesleyan Service Guild members were surprised when a very active member, Sue Jacobs, announced her engagement to him. The small wedding was held in Old Drummond, December 1959, and was followed by a reception for 400 guests in Cowan Hall. Dolly Hire Circle was started for young mothers of the church. Dolly was president of WSCS at the time, but never a member of that circle. She was a sweet woman, in charge of the church nursery. Some other changes were made to the circles in the 1960s. Minnie Canaan Circle and Ruth Hartley Circle, named for early and involved church women, remained the same. Other circles were renamed the Hattie Kuntz Circle and Summers Jacobs Circle, named for Susie Summers and Louise Jacobs. After the merger of Drummond Chapel, Star City, and Trinity churches in 1999, the Trinity Circle continued for about 2 years and then disbanded. Star City had not had an active circle for some time before the merger. A highlight of 2012 was the formation of a new circle, the Betty Alexander Circle, beginning with 7 members. In 2013, the Hattie Kuntz Circle disbanded, and members opted to join other circles, become a general member, or drop out. In 2002, the United Methodist Women assisted with purchasing 2 new stoves, paint, and cost of cabinet repairs in the kitchen. At another time, a new flexible metal enclosure for the serving window helped as a sound barrier for Cowan Hall, and in 2009 a new freezer was added to the kitchen, and in 2012 the UMW added a new refrigerator. The women have continued furnishing the kitchen with equipment for over 60 years. The kitchen is still the hub where church dinners, funeral dinners, and early learning center lunches are prepared. It is also where the women gather to make fruit cakes and can apple butter. To raise money for missions, the UMW began making apple butter the old-fashioned way at Joe and Betty Vorbaugh's house. Betty remembers the arduous task of the day-long process.
Louise Jacobs who was Sue Jacobs DeBarty's mother, came up to our house, and she had made it for a good while. We used to make it at home, but it had been a while. But she told us, how to make it. So we had one kettle. That's how we started out, probably back in the 50s. And then it advanced to 2 kettles down below our garden for 10 or 15 years. And then we went to Sue Wilson's. It must have been 20 years. We advanced to 4 kettles. It was a lot of fun. There was only one time there at Sue's that it rained, and we tried to put up some plastic, but it was awful. We had umbrellas that we put over the kettle. We didn't care about us getting wet, but that apple butter didn't need any more water in it. And then we moved to Dr. Wren's. Robin bought a large kettle, so we still had 4 kettles. We was out there quite a few years, and the wind came up from the hollow there, really blew this one Saturday, and we couldn't keep the fires under the kettles. I didn't think the apple butter was the quality that it should have been. We didn't do apple butter one year, and then some of we call them younger people, Val and Mark Markle and Sally and Chuck Badger maybe, and they used a propane and made the apple butter. It was very good. It was very good, and a lot less work than what we did with the fires.
In 1960, the Circles held their first bazaar. Half of Cowan Hall was used for sales, and the other half for a luncheon. Today, the annual bazaar uses many rooms in the church and is the biggest fundraiser. Both apple butter and fruitcakes are eagerly purchased at the bazaar. Outside vendors are invited to sell their products, and a cookie walk has been added. The cookie walk has proven to be very popular, and cookies sell out quickly. The bazaar raises thousands of dollars and is the biggest fundraiser for the UMW to support their mission work. Some activities remain the same over decades. These include fundraising events, such as the annual program for a call to prayer and self-denial, and the World Thank Offering, the Pledge to Mission that began in the 1930s, Mission Challenge, and the Celebration of Mission event, COME, that the UMW participates in by preparing hundreds of plants for the annual sale. Hot dogs were a favorite of many football fans who parked at the Drummond Chapel parking lot. Fruit cakes are still made the traditional way. The process takes a week and needs many hands for the finished product. The recipe was developed by Frances Berry and has been passed down for decades. The women will make and sell 200 1-pound and 70 2-pound cakes. Betty Vorbaugh has been helping make fruit cakes for many years.
Winnie Gatrell lived by Ray's Pastries proprietor on Gilmore Street here in town. And she was sort of instrumental in getting the fruit and all from him. But others had started making it with the citrus fruit, and it wasn't really as good as what the one that Ray's Pastries had. So we changed and went to Ray's. And Ray furnished us the fruit for many years. And then his daughter, Becky, who goes to church here, she was able to get us the fruit. But there was a chairman, there was a circle that was in charge of it. It took 5 days to make the cakes, and we'd usually make over 100 large ones, and I think that's all we made at first was the large ones, and then we started with the smaller ones over the years. But there was always someone in charge, and they would get the women's group workers from each circle. We had 5 circles at that time. They always came and helped, and we had a lot of fun.
Besides fundraising activities, the circles serve lunch, afternoon Lenten service, deliver a UMW Sunday service, prepare fruit trays for the homebound and residents of nursing homes at Christmas time, made layette kits and birthing kits for UMCOR in 2012, and prayer shawls and baby blankets were taken to the UMW's National Assembly in 2014. The UMW was active in starting the prayer quilt ministry at Suncrest United Methodist Church, and they held a baby shower for Scott's Run Settlement House. The UMW donates money to church members for mission trips, such as Rebecca Small, who went to Zimbabwe, Africa, Ed and Scotty Sneckenberger, and Eric Small to Guatemala, and Larry Goodwin and Clark and Sean McKee to Russia. The United Methodist Women's Reading Program offers a variety of books selected by a national committee. The topics are Education for Mission, Nurturing for Community, Spiritual Growth, Social Action, and Leadership Development. Members are encouraged to read a wide selection of topics, which are sometimes controversial, to stimulate critical thinking and take action as needed. Many women of the church have been recognized as long-standing members. The Suncrest UMW continues to be an active force of women. The budget is over $12,000, and most of that money goes to help local, national, and global mission projects, which help women, children, and youth. Decades ago, the women closed their meetings by saying together the missionary benediction. May the grace of Christ our Savior and the Father's boundless love, with the Holy Spirit's favor, rest upon us from above. Thus may we abide in union with each other and the Lord, and possess in sweet communion joy which earth cannot afford.